In this video I'm just going to be trying out a few ideas to generate a solo fantasy role-playing game and to see how it works. Now, first thing I decided to do was come up with a storyline, so I used Advanced Rune Quest, which contains 20 storyline ideas. So I just rolled a d20 and it came up with smugglers. Now, I didn't want the heroes to be smugglers, so I interpreted that as the heroes will be tracking down some smugglers. I used these location cards from Quest to Time of Heroes, box of which is over there. And the ones I came up with were, the first one I drew was the harbour, which makes sense when it comes to smuggling. And then I thought, well, where would the smugglers be going to? And the next card I drew was the graveyard, which will probably be good for a spooky adventure. I've chosen some appropriate floor plans from my collection of old gaming stuff, so I'll be using these, and I just chose ones which would fit logically together, like the mausoleum leading into a temple, leading into a barracks and a guard room where the baddies are holed up. I'm also going to be using a very simple rule system to run the game, because it's always best to sort of deal with something you know really well, or something that's really simple, so it's not going to get in the way of the story. And I've got some Rory's story cubes to generate something a bit mysterious, more than just a kick in the door, fight the monsters kind of thing. Might be able to generate something more interesting with those. I'm using fate dice to ask questions and see what happens, like, is this door locked? Well, it could go either way, so that wasn't very helpful. But, to ask general questions about what might be happening. I generated the characters using the Fighting Fantasy rules, and I've made Amelia a magic user, so she has these spells here. She has to roll that number or less on 3 dice, and then if she's successful or not, she has to cross off whichever spell it was, and then if the spell works, then it works, and if it hasn't, then there might be repercussions. I'm just going to use these orcs from Quest to Time of Heroes to represent any monsters that might turn up, but I'll probably generate the monsters randomly to make it a bit more surprising. I decided that the main protagonists would probably be orcs anyway, and the initial location of the harbour is where Cristiano and Amelia, our heroes, have spotted the orcs smuggling something in from a boat, and what they want to do at this stage is to follow them through the town without being discovered. So I've written down the stats for the orcs just in case a fight starts, and I'm going to try and follow them. I'm going to roll the fate dice to see how difficult it is in terms of the terrain and the weather, which might affect it. How tricky it is for the heroes to follow the orcs, to give a bit of a bonus or minus on the skill rolls I'm going to do. So I'll roll their unmodified skill, because we've got a plus and a minus. So Cristiano's skill is 12, so he's probably going to succeed. Yeah, easily less than 12. And Amelia, her skill is 8, and she manages it as well. So basically they managed to follow the orcs to the graveyard without being spotted and without making any noise. So now they've arrived at the dead of night, and the orcs are creeping through the graveyard in the dark, and our heroes are having trouble keeping track of them, trying to find out where the entrance is to their underground lair. So I'm just going to roll the fate dice again to make sure that the heroes will be able to follow them and find their way into the mausoleum. So we've got 3 pluses and a minus, so I'm going to say they managed to follow them to the entrance successfully, and then they enter the mausoleum. So now they've entered the tomb, and to try and find out where the orcs are going and what their evil plan is, I'm going to roll the story cubes, try and interpret something from that. See if it gives me any kind of idea. I'm going to take the hand symbol, which was one of the dice that came up, to suggest that there's a secret entrance here, and you have to move the hand of the sarcophagus statue thing to make it open. So we'll deal with that later. And now I'm going to see if there might be a wandering monster. And there's a minus, so I'm going to interpret that as there is. So I shall roll in one of these charts. I'll take a simple one from here. So I'll take the Dungeon Adventure chart and just roll 1d6 on that. It's a 5, so that's a skeleton, which is quite appropriate really. So as Cristiano's skill is highest, I'm going to say that he can move in first and attack the skeleton. So the skeleton's skill is 6. Okay, that's 13. And Cristiano can't really lose against that. There we go. And I'm using the damage charts from the Riddling Reaver. So he rolls 1 die to see how much damage he does to the skeleton. And it is a 2. So the skeleton is down to 3 stamina. Now Amelia is going to have a go. She's going to try one of her spells. She's going to try a fire spell to try and do the skeleton some damage. So she has to roll 14 or less, which she does. She rolls 1 die to see how much damage she does. Just the 1. So the skeleton is now down to 2 stamina, and she has to cross off one of her fire spells. Just there. And it's Cristiano's turn to go again. The skeleton rolls. Yes, can't really do anything with that. And Cristiano succeeds and rolls for his sword, and it scores 3 damage, but the skeleton only has 2 stamina left, so he's defeated. Cristiano is going to examine this potential trap, but potential secret entrance. And I'm going to roll the fate dice to see if his skill attempt to deal with the secret entrance is going to work or not. And that's 3 minuses, so I will say that that is -3 to his skill. Okay, so he has to roll a 9 or less, or he may be damaged. And he succeeds, so he manages to open the secret entrance, and our heroes can descend to the depths. Now they enter the secret temple with 2 entrances going off here to further rooms. I'm going to roll the Roy's story cubes again to see if I can have an idea about what might be happening in this room. The symbols I've decided to use are a padlock, a scarab, and a speech bubble. So I could interpret that as these doors are locked and you have to speak a magic word to the statue, represented by the scarab maybe, and they have to discover what that is in order to open the doors. But now I'm going to check to see if there is a monster. That's evens. So I'll roll 4, 5 or 6 and there's a monster. And there is. So I'm going to roll 1 die to see what kind of monster it is. And it's another skeleton. Okay. Let's find out how many there are. 1 to 6. Just 1 skeleton again. Oh, that's a bit disappointing. Never mind. So the orcs seem to have undead guardians protecting the outer parts of their lair. So Cristiano is going to attack first. So the skeleton rolls. And 6, 12, 14. And Cristiano can't really lose. Rolls with his sword, which scores 2 damage on the chart, so that's down to 3 for the skeleton. I think Amelia will cast another fire spell. She'll roll 3 dice to get less than 14, which she does. And she rolls 1d6 worth of damage. That is 2, so the skeleton is down to 1 stamina. And Cristiano will attack again. The skeleton rolls a 7. And Cristiano can't really lose, adding his 12, so the skeleton's defeated. I guess a logical thing to do would be to search the skeleton's body to see if there are any clues as to the secret password. So I'll roll the fate dice again. Oops. 3 minuses. Okay. So Cristiano will roll 9 or less to try and find out the secret password. It's just unfortunate that although skill represents strength and intelligence, the wizard character rolls 2d6 plus 4 to generate their skill, so they naturally have less skill than an ordinary warrior might, which doesn't really work. But that's how simple the rules are, which is good and sometimes doesn't quite work. Okay, 9 or less. He manages to find a clue on the skeleton's remains as to what the secret password will be. So he can now say that password, and these 2 doors here will open. Now the rooms either side could either be the barracks or the guard room. So I'll roll the dice. Roll the die rather, and 1 to 3 this way is the barracks. 4 to 6 it's the guard room, and it's the guard room. So I've decided that the leader of the operation is going to be in the guard room, and I rolled 1d6 to see how many soldiers he had with him, just the 1. So I'm guessing that the other 4 orcs we saw earlier will be in the barracks on the other side of the temple. So now this fight's going to begin, but I'm going to roll first of all story cubes and see what they come up with. Oops. Okay, I'm just going to take these 2, and which could suggest that if the heroes search, they will find something interesting and random, which is probably the kind of things that the orcs have been smuggling in from the harbour. So Cristiano is going to rush in and attack the leader, who has a skill of 7, so he's not terribly tough, but we'll see how we get on anyway. That's 15. The heroes are a little bit overpowered sometimes in Fighting Fantasy, but never mind. And he wins. Okay, let's roll 1 die for the sword. And the leader loses 2 stamina. Now, I think Amelia is going to cast one of her spells again. Another fire spell, I think. I forgot to cross 1 off earlier, I think. Okay. And, oops. Yep, that's okay. She just manages it. And the orc here loses 5, all of his stamina. So he's completely destroyed by the fire spell. Cristiano's battle. 8 for the orc, added to his 7. Cristiano would find it difficult to lose against that. Yep. So we roll for the sword. and a 1, so he just loses 1 point of stamina that time. Okay, now Amelia's going to join in, and she's going to cast another fire spell, why not? And that's okay, so he loses 1 stamina, and she crosses off another fire spell, and she's now out of fire spells. And we go back to Cristiano's battle. Okay, that's not going to do much good. Yeah, Cristiano easily wins and rolls a die for the sword, and the orc leader is defeated. Now I'm going to roll the fate dice again to see how difficult it is to find the item that might be there. Oops. Okay, 2 minuses and 1 plus. So basically, if he rolls an 11 or less, this ridiculously overpowered hero will find the item. Yeah, he does. Okay. I will pick something from the equipment cards that also came with Quest Time of Heroes, and they find a magic sword. Okay, that's interesting. I'm just going to use the fate dice again to see if there's any treasure that they might be able to find. Possibly. Okay. 1 to 3, there isn't. 4 to 6, there is. There isn't any treasure. Now our heroes are about to enter the barracks, where I'm assuming that the 4 orcs they followed here will be. I'm just going to ask the question whether there might be more monsters than that. 2 minuses. I'm going to say that there is. I'm going to roll on the dungeon chart to find out what that might be. And it's a gremlin. That should be different. Gremlins are actually quite weak, so I want to give the heroes a bit of a challenge in their last battle. So I'm going to roll on this dungeon chart to see what it comes up with. Let's go with the giant centipede. That might be interesting. Yeah, they're quite tough, so that should be a good monster to finish off with. Well, I've got a giant centipede in Cardboard Heroes, but it's not very giant, so you'll just have to use your imagination. Let's say it's crawled up through the fireplace, what with all the noise of the various battles that have been going on. So yeah, okay, I'll leave it there. All the story cubes to see if anything else is happening. I'm going to take these two to mean that in a certain amount of time, say 1 to 6 rounds, some other monster is going to arrive. So I'll roll 1d6, 3. So in 3 rounds' time, another monster appears. Cristiano can move first. He's going to rush in and attack this orc here. Let's signify which orc is which. He can be orc 1, orc 2, orc 3, and orc 4. Okay, so he's fighting orc 1, who rolls a 7. And yeah, Cristiano can't really lose. So he rolls his die roll. 4, that means the orc suffers 2 damage. So orc 1 is down to 3 stamina. Amelia is now out of fire spells, but what she'll do this turn, I think she'll just wade in and attack this orc here, and we'll see how that goes. So the orc rolls a 9, added to 6, that's 15. Amelia's skill is 8. That's 14, and Amelia suffers 2 damage. Okay. Right, now I guess the orcs are going to come in and gang up on these two. So, when fighting multiple opponents, for each additional opponent, you have to reduce your skill by 1, and you have to decide which of them you're fighting. So, Cristiano will concentrate on Orc 1, trying to hit that one. And, okay, Orc 1 rolls and misses, so Cristiano can't lose that fight. He rolls a 3, so Orc 1 loses 2 stamina, which leaves him with 1. Now the other Orc rolls. Okay, he can't, even reduced by 1, Cristiano can't lose, but he doesn't damage that Orc because he's concentrating doing damage to that one. I'm not going to have the centipede join in the fight just yet, I don't think. It's sort of sizing up the situation, but it'll probably join in next time, and I'll cross off one of the rounds before the next monster appears. So there's 2 rounds left. Okay, I think I've got that roughly right anyway. Okay, now Amelia's got problems. She'll try and damage Orc number 3. He rolls 8. Okay, she needs to beat a 14 in total then. That is a standoff, I think. Yeah, they both score 14, so it's a standoff. And the other Orc, which she's just defending against, rolls a 7. That's 13. And Amelia rolls and adds a 7 to that. So that's 16. So she manages to beat that one, and she rolls a die for her staff, which does 3 damage. No, it doesn't, sorry, because she's just defending. Sorry, I forgot about that. Okay, I'm going to cross off another round. The next round, the monster will appear. Now the centipede is going to join in the fight against Cristiano here. That's going to be awkward. So, because this centipede is quite powerful, so I think Cristiano will concentrate on Orc 1 for the moment, and he has to lower his skill by 2, so he's fighting with a skill of 10. Okay, so he fights Orc 1 for the first thing. The Orc rolls an 8. That's 14. Cristiano needs to roll a 4 or 5 or more, let's say. And he does. So he does damage Orc 1, causing 1 point of damage, and he only has 1 stamina left. So Orc 1 is defeated, which will make things slightly easier. Now he has to defend against the centipede, which has a skill of 9, and Cristiano has a skill of 11. So the centipede gets 14. Cristiano should be okay, yeah. But he doesn't do the centipede any damage because he fought this Orc this round. And now this Orc is going to have to defend against this one. Okay, he can only, yeah, he easily defends against that Orc. So now the next monster is going to appear, and I'm going to use the chart in Out of the Pit again to try and bring up something interesting. Let's see what it might be. 11. It's a white. That's quite appropriate because of the spooky symbol that came up on the die. I shall look that up in the book. So the white has appeared, and they are immune to normal weapons, so Cristiano is going to have to use the magic sword if he's hoping to do any damage, because Amelia's used up most of her offensive spells. Okay, I think it's Amelia's go now. I may have lost track, but she's fighting the two orcs still and not having a great time of it. Okay, she'll concentrate on Orc 3, who rolls 14. Amelia has a skill of 7. Oh dear, it's not going very well. She's lost 2 more stamina, and now she's just going to have to defend against this orc here, Orc 2. So that's a 15. Oh no. She's down to 8 stamina now. This is really not going well. I'm going to have to... I'm going to have to do something about this. I think Cristiano really needs to deal with these. The white is going to approach in the next turn, I think, because they're a bit busy. Just to give them a bit of breathing space. Okay. Cristiano will concentrate on the centipede, which has a skill of 9. And so Cristiano adds 11 from his reduced skill. Standoff, and now he has to defend himself against the orc. Okay, 13. Okay, he defends himself. The white will attack next turn. But Amelia is busy now. Orc 3, she's concentrating on. So he rolls a 12. Oh gosh. She's down to 6 stamina. She's going to have to try and escape, I think. Now she's got to defend herself against Orc 2. Okay, rolls a 10 in total. And she defends herself. Good. Okay, now it's getting nasty. So what I think the characters are going to have to do is escape, because things are looking desperate. They need to find a better place to defend themselves. It's not going well, so they each... Amelia will run for it, run for the door, and suffer 1 wound, as in 2 stamina points. And Cristiano, what's he going to do? He will also escape and suffer 2 damage. Now then, so they managed to escape, but now I think... Oh gosh, this is not good. I think Cristiano is going to try and hold the door by rolling his skill, and Amelia is going to cast a healing spell because she's really not in a good way. So, while she's casting the spell, she just manages to do, she regains 7 points, back up to 11, half her initial stamina value with that spell, and I cross it off her list. And Cristiano, how well is he going to hold the door? Okay, so there's 5 creatures, but I'm going to roll the dice to see if there is a modifier to his skill, to see whether he manages to hold the door, at least for this round. And there's a +1, so he manages to hold it for this initial round quite easily, rolling less than his overpowered skill of 12. And I think what he's going to do now is he's going to use the classic Hero Quest tactic standing in the narrow doorway, so only one monster can attack him at a time. And the most powerful one, I guess, is the centipede for the moment. So he doesn't get a reduction to his skill because he's only fighting one monster at a time. So the centipede rolls, and it adds 9. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's not good. Gianna needs to beat 21. Nope. Okay. He loses 2 stamina. This still might not be a good tactic. The other monsters are milling around, trying to get in and do some damage themselves. The battle goes on. I think Amelia will cast another stamina spell. Oh, actually, she's not that badly damaged now. Okay, the fight goes on. Oh no, you're kidding. Another 2 points of stamina damage. You'll have noticed that I'm not using luck in the battles, just to keep things as simple as possible. I'm going to see if this is worth still fighting the centipede. Okay, that's a bit better. 16 in total. Oh, that is a standoff. Oh my goodness. I think Amelia is going to cast a weakness spell on the centipede. Okay. Seeds. Now, the centipede skill is reduced by 2, so that's down to 7. And the stamina is reduced by... That didn't roll very well, did it? Well, okay, we'll go the lowest one, 4. So it's down to 3 stamina. So now she crosses off the weakness spell. She only had one of those on her spell list. And Christiana will carry on fighting the now weakened centipede. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Should be easy to beat that one. And roll for the sword. So the centipede is now down to 1 stamina. And the fight will continue. Okay, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And Cristiano can't lose against that unless he fumbles or something. And that is 3 points of damage, but the centipede only had 1 stamina remaining, so the centipede's gone. Now, in order to hurt the white, Cristiano is going to have to get out the veteran's sword. And I think logically he's going to have to suffer one wound, go down to 14 stamina, because he's changing weapons, so that the white manages to get a free hit on him. Now, using the veteran's sword, which gives +1 to a melee attack, he'll be able to do some damage. So let's say it does +1 damage and it adds 1 to his skill. It's a +1 sword basically. So the white's skill is 9. Oh dear. So Cristiano's boosted skill using that sword is 13. And that round is a standoff, so we have another round. No, oh my goodness, these dice are horrendous. I can't believe I just rolled the same thing again. So we need to be at 20. Oh dear. So Cristiano's down to 12. I think at this moment it would be good for Amelia to cast another healing spell, but this time on Cristiano, because he's yeah, that would be good. Okay, easily she manages to do that. Cross off the stamina spell. his stamina is restored by 11 points, but basically it goes back to his initial stamina of 22 because he was down to 12. So yes, we're having to use every possible advantage to try and stay alive here. The white fights again. Okay, 17. Cristiano 13. 18. And he rolls for his sword, the new sword, and adds 1. So a 2 would be 2 stamina damage, but the white takes 3 and is down to 3 stamina, which is good. The next round, okay, that's a lot more manageable. Cristiano wins, rolls a die. That means he scores 2 damage. Add 1 for the magic sword, and the white is destroyed. Oh my goodness. I'm going to skip through the fights with the orcs because this is becoming a bit of a grind. So thanks to his magic sword, Cristiano has defeated the orcs by using the classic hero quest tactic, and they are now going to search the barracks to see if there's anything here. I've got 3 minuses here, so his skill is 12 minus 3, so he needs to roll 9 or less, and he finds a shield. And as it's the barracks of the orcs, I'm going to see if there's any treasure by rolling the fate dice again. 2 pluses, so I'll say yes, there is treasure. 1 to 3, 1 dice worth. 4 to 6, 2 dice worth. Okay, 4 gold pieces. Well, it's better than nothing. So we can rummage in here for their not very impressive treasure, but they have got some. Got a magical sword, and they've got a shield as well. So now they'll be able to make their way out, having discovered the identity of the smugglers and defeated them. This video is just to show a few methods of generating decisions and trying to do the job of a games master using dice and cards. And if anybody's interested in solo role-playing, then hopefully it may have given you 1 or 2 ideas. But it's a very basic little playthrough, sort of kick in the door kind of thing, but I tried to make it more interesting with using the story cues, which might 1 or 2 of them might suggest a situation in a particular room that you could something needs to be found, or a door needs to be opened, or something in a certain way, and you can sort of interpret them how you like in a way to suggest something interesting. The fate dice are very useful with a nice basic role-playing system like Fighting Fantasy, and I used some rules from the Riddling Reaver as well, and also I elaborated with some bits from Dungeoneer for any slightly more awkward situations. Anyway, thanks for watching.